What is up, you guys? We are here for our weekend reflection message. Shabbat Shalom. So, as it turns out, I thought we had a bit longer. I thought we had until Aries season, until the year of the horse starts. But it's actually the Chinese Lunar New Year is beginning on I think Tuesday, on February 17th. So there is a new moon on Tuesday in Aquarius, but it's also an annular solar eclipse, which means that the moon is smaller as it crosses over between the sun and the earth. And so it leaves this like ring of fire around the eclipse, which is so interesting because it's like we're moving through that fiery portal, ending the snake kind of eating itself, and then kind of like going through this fire portal, and then starting the year of the horse, or the year of the fire horse. I've heard it referred to both ways. So that's so interesting. So, whereas I thought we had a couple more weeks to shed, it is culminating, guys. We have only a few days left. I did spend today like deep cleaning in kitchen cabinets, behind the oven, like really cleaning the floor, scrubbing down the fridge. You know how everything kind of gets that like stickiness in those spots in the kitchen. So I just like scrubbed everything out, and only have a couple of little miniature corners in my house left to sort of dust and rearrange. There's lots of maximalism, so there's lots of little details to put hands on. So a few of those left, but I feel confident I'll finish before the end of the year of the snake. But in the meantime, there's been so many subconscious things coming up into light, and revelations, and connecting patterns, and letting go of any feelings of heaviness or obligation or guilt. Just really kind of like finding inner peace and releasing things, and just taking lessons away from things, and going back and having maybe a different viewpoint, and all of that. So it's been really, really good, really, really good to cleanse the energy. And then I went through and I smudged my house really good, got it super smoky, smudged myself, took a nice shower, and sat down to do the video. And then after this, I'm gonna do my Shabbat, pray over my bread and candles and wine, and then enjoy the evening. So let's get into the cards. So I will show you all the cards, then I'll let you hear the audio first and look at the spread, and then we'll come back and like unpack each card. So first we have, this is from the Radiant Sun Oracle deck. We've got Mars in Taurus, which is defense. We have Jupiter in Capricorn, which is control. Isn't it interesting? The Ouroboros is there the snake's eating its own tail. Then we have Saturn in Gemini, which is concentration. Then we have Mars in Scorpio, which is revenge. And we also have Jupiter in Cancer, which is speculation. All right, underneath defense, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Underneath control, we have King of Wands. And underneath concentration, we have the Fool. And I think that these three tarot cards just sort of like tied the whole thing in together, not as like paired up as they usually are, so to speak. So I'll let you hear the reading, and then we'll come back and talk more. We're coming up upon the Chinese Lunar New Year, coming to the completion of the year of the snake. And it's going out with the ultimate bang. An Aquarius new moon and an annular solar eclipse. Yep, eclipse season is upon us, and always on time when we need a cosmic shop vac to suck up all the crud and scum and death crumbs of dust and ash. Eew, David. Doesn't that sound like just the thing that we need after the year of the snake? A year of shedding old skin? Ugh, gross. Yeah, let's clean it up. On February 17th, we're beginning a new timeline. One that we've been working towards for the last several years. Liminal space has come to its end. This is the beginning of a new story that we are writing with the Creator. Our consciousness and actions will inform the contents and roots and framework of the reality we will be living in. So it is vital that we consciously curate and cultivate seeds we want to be living in. This means not only having discipline in our actions, habits, and routines, but also with our emotions, energy, attention, attitudes, mindsets, beliefs, perceptions. What we focus on matters, and the root of consciousness behind our focus matters even more. Dress rehearsal is over. Things will begin to manifest quicker now, so we need to have mastery and self-control over what we are manifesting and why. It's like driving. We must have awareness, responsibility, and care. We do not have to react when hit with anxious urgency. Our reptilian brain is being activated and it works against us. So it's important that we move through our days steady, anchored, and in possession of our hearts, minds, and souls. Evil tongue creates illness and weakens the speaker by draining their life force. It's like energy vampiring ourselves. It's so tempting to want to blow off steam by blasting monsters, but our energy is much more powerful if we can stay focused on constructive action that will move the needle forward without accumulating our own negativity debt. We can express the wrongness without becoming like them. For example, this is evil, outrageous, and unacceptable, and justice must prevail. Versus saying all the things that we really want to say in a name-calling tirade, which is one of my favorite pastimes, admittedly. However, in cosmic law, it weakens our position. This is how evil tongue works. If someone is talking about you and you don't become reactive, if you don't retaliate or let it bother you, then that negativity bounces off of you and it comes back to them. And all the more magnified if you can embrace the situation for what it is and even appreciate it. So while they sit there unbothered, we disempower our effectiveness and ourselves. Discipline over what we say and how we say it and why matters at this moment if we want change. Okay, so Mars in Taurus. This card kind of is like, the essence of it is rolling out with like a big military parade, but it's really just like for show. It's like it's opulent. It's like it's making a big show about things, but there's no real threat. It's just more for like a show of force, but in a parade sort of way. Like it's like parading, like peacocking kind of. I think it's interesting how there's no real threat, and yet this is like the chariots, the soldiers going out, showing off their power, but like not really doing anything. And so that feels a lot like what we've been watching play out, as like all of this stuff is being revealed, and look too at the wheel of destiny turning and things sort of like finally coming into light, and destiny sort of like bringing this chapter into fruition. Like look at the stripes here. What does that look like? The blacked out lines and the pages, you know, the redacted files, the secrets that are kept, and it's like the truth is coming into light. And then we're like, why isn't anything being done? Like, why, like, what's happening? And on the one hand, we're like, why isn't the justice system taking any initiative? And like, we know why. It's like an intentional cover up. And then the people who aren't compromised are doing what they can to use all that they can in their wheelhouse to make this a successful to be able to successfully indict and prosecute them. They have to go about things in a very calculated, careful, lawful way. And so then you have like the people in the administration that are obviously corrupt and have no intention of, you know, taking any kind of legal measures in justice. We see them sort of like showing up to the hearing. I'm not going to answer any questions. Like, we have other departments like going out and having like competitive, you know, press conferences that don't add up to anything. They're just propaganda. They're just all for show, all for attention. So it's like, you know, I think that the fates are letting things play out right now a little bit to let everybody get their cards on the table. And, you know, for those that are weaving webs of evil, they are like the fates, destiny is giving themselves their own rope to hang themselves with, essentially. And for those on the right side of history, it's like we need to be patient, but also we need to take care of our nervous systems, because the way that all of this has come out has been like psychological attack, spiritual attack. And they want, this is like Blitzkrieg in World War II, when they just pummeled Europe with bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb, so they couldn't get their whereabouts, and they'd be disoriented and confused, and they wouldn't be able to focus and get it together. So this is the emotional and spiritual equivalent of that bombardment. And so the way that we have to defend ourselves is not by looking away, because the shadows that all of this hid in, because nobody wanted to look right at it, it was the problem to begin with. And so we have to be able to learn how to navigate to facing these truths while still not getting sucked in to like the downward spiral, going into a dark hole with it, right? So only taking in as much as we need to understand the depth, the breadth of the situation, taking in, you know, things that have been curated and put into context, so it's not, you're just not like looking into this like Pandora's box, but also, you know, minding your energy, staying grounded, regulating your nervous system, not shutting down, not numbing to this, not normalizing it, going through the trauma responses of fight, flight, freeze, fawn. You know, don't you think it's interesting that the zeitgeist of society kind of got really exposed to pop psychology, and particularly where it involves like exposing the patterns of narcissistic people and like their tricks and what they do to people, and how they prey on you, and how they trick you, and how they love bomb you, and how they gaslight you. And it's like we've all learned how to identify the narcissist as a collective right before all of these people display like the most narcissistic desperation like you can ever imagine, right? And so they're desperately clinging to their own like delusion and fantasy, and trying to hold the illusion up, but they know it's crumbling. So they're like they're scrambling in desperation right now, as we saw in the hearing, as we're seeing out in other pieces of the web as well. So the web is breaking. It is held together by a thin film, but it is coming into the light, and it is being taken down. So don't get impatient, but have confidence and faith that if we keep taking care of ourselves, stay being able to reconnect to joy and to love and to peace throughout the day, right? So that we're not in a sustained state of sorrow and horror. And because remember, the Shekhinah, the Spirit of God that protects and shelters us and blesses us, can only come near what it resonates with, what it bears affinity with. And so when we are in misery and sorrow, whether justified or not, that there's no vibrational resonance. And this happened to even the highest righteous sages. Like, for instance, Jacob, when he was disconnected with Joseph and he thought his son Joseph was dead. That was his favorite son. And he was a very blessed, wealthy man. But during the years of his mourning his son's loss, he was so devastated and in such despair that he started falling into like a cursed, like, bad stream of circumstances. And so it wasn't until he was reunited and joyous again, where he felt whole and reintegrated, that everything started coming back and there was abundance again, and well-being and fulfillment and peace and love. And so too, we have to cultivate our heart, soul, mind, strength, consciousness in every way right now with discipline and intention, because there is a force that is using everything in its wheelhouse to keep us down and in a state of despair and hopelessness, because that puts us in a state of disempowerment. But together, we are very powerful and we are very effective, and things are happening and change is happening. So the reason why all this is coming out, at first it seems like terrifying. Oh my God, every horror that we ever had a nightmare of is like turning out to be real. It's not just like speculation or abstract. And so, facing that horror, shining that light on it, is not a sign that it is becoming bigger and stronger. It's a sign that this is the beginning of the end for it, because it's been exposed. And so it's not able to hide in the shadows anymore, and it's not able to protect itself like it used to. It's coming out, and the light is, what happens to vampires when they come out into the light, into the daylight? It burns them alive, and it burns them down to ash and dust, right? So vampires are coming out into the light. Don't you worry. And so God is overseeing this. God is ultimately in control. But this is a test for humanity. And God will come in and intervene when a critical mass of us have awakened and transformed. And we are like needing to step into our King of Wands right now, because we're up against King of Wands, but King of Wands in reverse. So when you think about the Wands suit, it's all about fire and determination and industry and your relationship with spirit, or your spiritual power, or your force, your life force, your vitality, your virility. So when this is healthy and mastered in a positive way, like you have all this passion and energy and vision, and your heart is like just on fire for what you want to do, but you have the discipline and the self-control to channel that fire productively and not fall victim and prey to your lower base instincts or impulsiveness or impetuousness or your temper or your ego, right? It doesn't burn out of control and consume you. You have control over your feelings. You have a level head, but you use all that fire and passion to harness and execute your vision and your manifestation, and keep that solid, strong connection with God, with the Creator. Now, when this energy is in the perverse expression, it is overly domineering, right? Angry, abusive, authoritarian, totalitarian, aggressive, harsh, hard. So, like dictatory, right? So we see like someone who has an out of control temper and can't control their emotions. And then once their emotions get stirred up, they start becoming reactive and they start taking actions that lack judgment, right? They might do things that they are sorry for later. And so really, generally speaking, as we build the vessel, we're trying to become less reactive and more of cause consciousness and not effect consciousness. So when we become reactive, it's like we spill out our energy and we spill out our effectiveness. And there are two specific ways that we can be spilling out our energy and leaking our energy, like energy vampires are like sucking our life force, except we're doing it to ourselves. And so the concept evil tongue and evil eye or bad eye. Evil eye or bad eye is when you're like casting like condemnation or critical eye or bad eye. You like think worst of someone, or you're looking for the wrong or the bad, or you're like envious or covetous or jealous, like maybe lustful, like you're putting a impure gaze on someone. Like these are like doing bad eye is or like looking at terrible, impure things. Like the people in the government have to do this right now because they are there as a sacrifice and a service to the public. It's their duty, it's their responsibility, it's their job. But to a certain degree, like we don't want to just expose our eyes to those things if there's no real purpose for it. Even just seeing the censored versions of the images implied is bad enough, right? So we need to be careful about what we're taking in through our eyes. The wisdom of Kabbalah teaches that we're never supposed to look an angry person in their eye, because when they're in a rage, they are not in control of their consciousness. They are temporarily taken over by a dark spirit, an evil entity. And so when we look at a spirit like that, that spirit looks back at us. So when we see it, it can see us. So we don't want to, it's like Appalachian, secrets of crazy stuff that goes on in these ancient mountains, right? And, if you hear like whistles and see sparks of light in the dark in the woods at night, like you're not supposed to interact with those things. You're not supposed to follow the sparkly thing, like, oh, what's that? Like, it's not going to be positive. You do not want to interact with it, because if you ignore it, it's like they're not as aware of you. But when you hone in, they hone in back, right? So you don't want to lock eyes with someone who's in an anger or rage, because then it's like you're getting that bad energy in you or on you. It's like getting residue on you, or like latching on you in some way. The other way here, and you can see that we are talking about like Saturn in Gemini, which is being disciplined about how you're communicating. Maybe not saying everything that you know. Don't be telling all your secrets. Loose lips sink ships. So it's like when we're working on something and we're trying to manifest something and we start telling everybody about it, then people start giving evil eye to our thing. They have doubts, they have criticisms, they might be jealous, they might have their own insecurities. And then also the other half of that is we're getting all excited. They might be excited. They're like, oh, great idea. You're so great. I love you. You're amazing. You're my hero. I look up to you. You're inspiring. And then it's like you get all this energy, but you didn't do the thing yet. So it's like spending a bunch of money on your spiritual credit card and then getting in debt and having to pay back that energy. So that leaks out energy, and that undermines the potency and effectiveness of your manifestation. Now, idle tongue, just talking to hear yourself talk and not giving value, not sharing value, or is your giving really taking? The person at the meeting who always wants to say something. They feel like they have to ask a question. If they don't have anything to say, they're like doing something to make noise. Like that person, like the other day I was in the grocery store and this man was like eye contacting, talking to everyone. He was like overly mirthful. It just was obnoxious. And it wasn't like he took a breath. It wasn't like natural. Cause like I will talk to people at the store and I'll cut up with the cashiers and stuff, but only if it's organic. Like if an organic moment happens, it happens. And sometimes other people involved around me, like, are starting to get into the conversation. But I don't go into the store trying to be a good person and I'm going to say hi to people. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like you're not like try hard about it. oh, he was so try hard. And it was like, you know, that he wasn't giving the attention to be nice and like share. It was like he needed the attention he was taking. So on the surface, it looks like, oh, he's just being a nice person. But really, he's going in there being a version of a narcissist who's like making it all about him and wants to take, and, you know, he's like sucking the life force out of you. And you know that person because they get on your last nerve when they do it, and then you feel bad somehow. They're energy vampire. They're sucking your life force. So that's another way. Idle tongue, right? Is what I'm about to say constructive? Like, you know, is this just me wanting to hear myself talk, right? Is this valuable, you know, light that needs to be shared, right? So consider that before idle tongue. When you talk about people in gossip, right? Of course, we know obviously that like when we do it in a negative way, it's bad. Sorry, I just ate like chocolate covered almonds before I turned on the video, and I didn't want to be like spitting that everywhere. So when we know that when we're talking about people in a negative sense, it's bad, but like we forget that like just kind of like talking about people idly can be also like a kind of a version of evil tongue as well. And so it's not necessarily so insidious, but you're like kind of like using this person to gain energy from like using them as a topic of entertainment or conversation, right? And then where you keep talking about them, maybe something comes up that then stirs up some negativity and you trip into a negative thing about them, right? So then let's go over to like negative speech about someone. So when you speak negative speech, that is very, very draining on you. I mean, it does send out negativity to that person, but it also puts negativity on the person listening. So 3 people are having their life force sucked out of evil tongue: the speaker, the listener, and the person who the subject is being talked about. So when the administration right now and all these world elites and all these people are in every story right now doing the most atrocious things for the last 2 years, we need to be like really, particularly this year because of the quality of the year numerically, is like our consciousness is going to yield fast fruit. And so if it's negative, it's going to yield chaos. And if it's positive, it's going to yield positive results. So as we as a collective are like, what can we do to be effective to fight this kind of evil? We have to be really pure in our intention, but we can use our collective desire and words and intentions to feed the light. And so what I mean by that is if we start talking bad about them in a way that's just like blowing off steam, having fun at their expense, you know, feeling really good and empowered by coming up with like, facetious and clever cut downs. That feels good in the moment, but what it does, it's a temporary high, but then your life force goes down really low. Like think about those old video games where it showed the life force of the character as you're like fighting each other. So this is how evil tongue works. If somebody's talking about me and they're doing evil tongue about me, and I'm like strong enough in my consciousness and disciplined enough, and I have enough awareness to not let it bother me, to remember how the cosmic law works. So I'm going to explain this law to you now. I know how cosmic laws work, so I'm not taking this personally. I'm not going to let it bother me. I am going to do spiritual kung fu right now. If I do not let evil tongue bother me, then that negativity does not affect me, especially if I can be so indifferent about it that I can actually appreciate the situation for what it is and be glad that it happened because it is removing negativity from me. Because what's happening here is, if I get really bothered by it, then I take on the negativity and the arrows land. Oh, I'm being reactive. I'm now a slave to that person. I have given them my power. However, if I do not get bothered by it at all, I do not answer the person, I do not retaliate, I stay unbothered, and I even feel like, oh my gosh, this is actually a really great opportunity, because it's like siphoning my own negativity away. Because what's happening is the unbotheredness is being a cause consciousness like the creator, unaffected like the creator. And so that energy is then rebounding that dark energy off of you, and it's going back to the sender, and then they're having to take it on, and everything they sent out and all that energy they sucked out of you, it's like you get their good energy and they have to take on your tikkun, like some of your tikkun that you would have had to work off. They take it off of your scale, they pay off some of your spiritual credit card debt, and they take it on for themselves. So that's if you can not care and be like, oh, wow, this is great. The creator has given me this as a gift. This is a gift. This is an opportunity. Doesn't bother me at all. You don't answer it. Don't make a big deal. Don't like be pompous about it. Just loose lips sink ships. Just be quiet and go about your merry way. Hold your peace. That will protect you. I promise. I went through this once where someone was full on trying to ruin my life, and I did not react to them at all. And now they're completely removed from my life. And I never reacted, and I just continued to pray and believe that God was protecting me and that I was following God's instructions not to retaliate, not to answer. And it was just like a miracle, or a turn of events or fate or whatever, that I had the presence not to do anything, say anything, to keep that self-control, and then the situation played out the way it played out and handled itself. And so I know that cosmic law, I've seen it in action and in extreme situations. So again, what we can do to be more proactive is to speak truth to power, but doing it in a way that is taking the high ground, focusing on the issues at hand, focusing on what action steps, what we want to happen instead, how we move forward, how we resolve the situation, how we, would like justice to be served. But it's not our vengeance to take. Vengeance is God's. That's what he says, right? So we can speak out, right, and name what is wrong and that it is wrong, but we don't have to get in a roast, a comedic roast towards the oppressors, which is difficult to do because I'm very talented at roasting some people who deserve it. So it's very difficult, believe me, I understand. But the more that we can practice that restriction, and listen to this, the harder it is for you to bite your tongue and to transform the way that you talk about the situation, the more you have to I just have this juicy thing I want to say. It'll feel so good. The more harder it is, and you hold a moment to transform how you speak about that thing so that it is constructive and positive towards putting the light into the situation and resolving and feeding the side of good, then the more powerful that offering was. Okay? So we have, and so the Fool is here because the Fool is like the beginning of a journey. It's starting over from zero. Saturn and Neptune are going to conjunct at 0 degrees of Aries soon. This is going to be the beginning of a huge cycle. It's the end of a over 330-year cycle. So this is big beginnings, and we've already been preparing for the moment that this new timeline is starting. And so it feels like this is a big moment for that because we're walking right into eclipse season. So usually I feel like eclipse season is later on in the spring. It feels very sudden to me, but we need it now more than ever, right? So it's like eclipse season like really sucks everything out that is not meant to stay standing. It clears the ground. It gets rid of, it exposes lies and secrets, and it takes away like what is not productive, what's not good, what's not in the highest good. So eclipses like force transformation if it's not happening on its own. So, and it's accelerated at that. So it can play out over the course of 6 months or a year, or even 18 months. So, Mars in Scorpio. So yes, the desire for revenge, we've got to keep that in check. We've got to practice self-control and maintain control over our consciousness and our emotions and our thoughts and our feelings and our perspective and our words. Because this year, this timeline is starting a new, it's like a blank canvas or an empty book that we're writing as we go. We're co-creating this with the Creator. And our reality will manifest very quickly, and it will manifest as a reflection of what our vibration and our internal consciousness and world looks like. It will reflect all of that. So we want to be planting seeds of fruit that we want to enjoy. Now, what I think is interesting about this card is that today, some stories I started circulating about different things that are causing the administration to implode on itself and just general recklessness and whatnot. But there is an affair that is happening, very prominent one. And when I heard about it today, it reminded me exactly of when Herod stole his brother's wife and married her, Herodias, and John the Baptist went and confronted them because of their like sinfulness or whatever. And then he was arrested, put in jail, and eventually he was executed, right? His head was cut off and served to Herodias on a silver platter at her behest. Now, this looks like the situation happening in a very public way right now, and I can only imagine it's going to be one of those things that just starts to like put another crack in the dam, you know, just like the negative attitude and like attack on Bad Bunny for just having a simply like good show. I mean, like the grandparents of America have unanimously spoken out and said from all sides of the aisle that they liked Bad Bunny's show and that they thought it reflected like positivity and unity and family values. So that was one thing. The attack on the Obamas really got under a lot of people's skin. Look at the amount of people on both sides of the aisle that were not standing for that. And it's so interesting too, because even people that may not have liked their politics or maybe had been talked into not liking them generally because they were president during that time, people respect the Obamas because the Obamas are respectable people, right? When you talk about vibrating, it's incoming and outgoing. You either vibrate with the thing or not. And so because they're respectable, people respect them, even if they don't maybe like them, choose them, agree with them, whatever. They're like, hey, don't be like that to them. That's shitty. And we aren't going backwards in that direction, right? So the heads will roll kind of thing. So don't go out like weakening our power as a collective with the evil tongue, with the evil eye. Wait, because the karma, Saturn is karma. Saturn is showing up right now in a very powerful and strong way. And if people don't have their shit in line, they're going to get in trouble. So don't worry. Like all of this is getting sorted out. And so again, paired with the speculation, Jupiter and Cancer, it's like we're really vigilant and hyper vigilant right now because we have family and security on the forefront of our consciousness, protecting the innocent, protecting our children, protecting, our loved ones and our communities and each other. And so we are reconsidering how we secure one another as a human village, as a human family, as a community mutual outreach and support, because, our institutions are obviously completely effed. They're basically systems of, designed to do horrendous things. So we need to become self-sufficient and inter-sufficient, right? So we are, feeling like we have to be extra on top of things and extra vigilant right now because of that heightened sense of wanting to protect and secure what we care about and what we value and what we love and what we hold dear and sacred. But at the same time, we need to watch that speculation so that it doesn't become bad eye and feed into that evil tongue, bad eye, and start to really leak our energy and our power as a collective. We need to feed into the light, feed into the good, because that is going to add the momentum to the power of the light right now. Not that the light is like infinite and we don't add to the power of the light, but we have to channel the light through into the material world through the human vessels, through the ways that the light is channeled through. So where the light is endless, there is a limit to how much light can be channeled through into the material world according to the capacity of the human souls that are in it, and the willingness and the intention and the actions and the diligence. All right, you all, that is all for tonight. We will be back together tomorrow night. Actually, we probably won't. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and it is going to be crazy. We have completely maxed out our capacity to take any more reservations. We have the last report was like in the 770s of people coming to eat tomorrow night. So I am going to be talking to so many two-tops on dates that probably don't go out other nights of the year. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be mind-numbing, but that's okay. Just all this weekend is gonna be like that. So I will probably be pretty fried after tomorrow night, and when I come home it might be really late. But if it isn't, and if I have any wherewithal, I might go through the Greek remains of the Gospel of Mary. Since we already went through in depth the Nag Hammadi, there are only a few little portions left in the Greek version, so I thought we could probably knock those out in probably like a one episode. So I'll either do that tomorrow night, or we will be on hiatus until I probably will come back Sunday night and do our weekly energy forecast for the week. So just check in, see if you turn on notifications, it'll send you a note on your phone when I upload videos. And if you want to kind of see all of my work in one place, pretty soon I will let you guys know where to follow me on Substack, but I'm still kind of getting things worked out and finalized there as far as like, I don't know, wanting to announce it to the public. So I'm working on it, and I'll let y'all know where to find me. And if you want to bad enough, I'm sure you can hunt me down and go ahead and follow me if you want. And yeah, and on Instagram, you can find me at Liz_Taylor_magic, because then you can see the written posts if for some reason I don't make videos in the evening. But I don't do posts on Secret Teachings of Jesus. That's just a video. So, all right, that's all for tonight, y'all. I'll see y'all when I see ya. And then the 2026 prediction series is in the description box below. It is $12. It is an extensive workshop of yearly, seasonal, and monthly readings for 2026. There are fire journal questions with every single reading, every single season, every single month, the yearly overview. And I've already done the questions for the yearly, winter and January, and I could not believe, even though I channeled them through, like how just potent and powerful and effective they were, and how between like January and February's reading, I haven't done the questions for February yet, but I've listened to the reading. Oh my gosh, and the winter seasonal reading and the yearly overview, I can't believe how on point and how crazy detailed and everything that gets covered that already. It is just mind-blowing. So it's more than worth it. It's $12 in the description box below. My stand store, you'll just click a button to buy, and then once purchased, you will have an email sent to you with a link to an unlisted playlist. And underneath the videos in the description box is where you'll find all of your journal work. All right, y'all. Peace. Ciao. Happy Valentine's.